Hi guys, I'm Ivory and welcome to my channel. So for anyone that is new here, I recently made the decision to go on a no-buy for the rest of 2019. And of course, a week after I made that announcement, Tati just made a video announcing that she's coming out with a palette this week. And it's neutral. So I'm not gonna lie, this week it's hitting me kind of hard. I decided it would be a great opportunity to show you what I want to use up for the rest of 2019. Some of these, I know it's gonna be impossible to finish, but I want to make a pretty good dent in all of the products that I'm gonna mention. And I should also note that just because I say I want to focus on this particular item, it doesn't mean that I will only use that item. For example, eyeshadow palettes. I mean, I just recently got like 15 new eyeshadow palettes before my no buy, of course. Otherwise, that's just straight up cheating. But with those new items, you know, I'm gonna want to do like multiple looks with one palette. So the products that I'm gonna mention are things that I want to primarily focus on for the rest of 2019, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the only products I'm gonna use. They're just the main products I'm gonna use. Before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every single week, and also be sure to follow me on my social media. Everything is _ivorypcherry. So I want to do this in order of the way I would normally apply my makeup. So first off, I want to do primers. So I have two primers that I at least want to put a dent in. So this one is the L'Oreal Infallible Matte Lock Primer. I have oily skin, so I really like to put this in the T-zone, and out of all my primers, whenever I do a wear test, this is the primer that I actually notice a difference with. You guys know I'm like whatever about primers. I don't totally think it's necessary, but this one so far has been the only one out of all my primers, even my high-end ones, that I actually see a difference. So I want to continue using this for the rest of the year. However, winter is coming along, so I also want to use the Hello Fab Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. This is like a makeup meets skincare type of product. It has elements of that pore filling type of texture, but it also feels a little bit like lotion, so it's kind of the best of both worlds. This will be if I don't want to use my mattifying primer because I'm dry that day, so I'll go for a hydrating one instead. So next off for brows, I want to use up the Maybelline Brow Define and Fill Duo. One side is a pencil. How much is left? Okay, not a lot, definitely doable. I mean, it's not like a race. I don't lose something if I don't finish it. And on the other side is a sponge. I'm actually using it right now. I love this product. You guys have seen me use this 1,000,001 times. And then to set my brows, I want to finish up the Benefit Gimme Brow Volumizing Fiber Gel. I got this in my Ipsy bag, so it's a sample size. Ew, came out kind of gross. But considering it's a sample size, I think in 3 months, it's totally doable. For foundation, so I actually have a couple. I think that is anticipated because you guys know how much I love foundation, so I feel like I have a foundation for every type of situation. So the main one that I want to finish is the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir. You guys know how much I love this. It has SPF, it has vitamins, antioxidants, it's full coverage, it's great for oily skin. I love the finish of this. It's somewhere in between a satin matte and just satin, so it looks very, I wouldn't say natural because it is full coverage, but it gives off a really subtle radiance that I really like about this. However, because it is full coverage, that is not always what I'm looking for on a day-to-day basis. When I'm going out with friends or if I'm going out for brunch or something, I typically go for something more light coverage. So I also wanted to add that I will be using on lighter days the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Full Coverage Foundation. This also has SPF in it and pollution protection. It says full coverage, but it takes about 3 coats to get there. So on a more casual day, I'll go in with 1 coat of this, and it's like a sheer medium coverage. I often also mix the two together, so there's that. But yeah, these are the 2 main ones that I want to use up. This one more so than this one. And the third one that I wanted to include, I know I'm so extra about this, is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Foundation. I did a wear test on this. I would say that this is solid for like a good 6 hours, and then after that I wouldn't trust it, but I feel better about it if I have good foundations mixed with it. These two right now are like a good shade for me, but as winter goes on, I'm gonna lose my tan. So this one is my shade kind of at my palest. So at some point, I'm sure I'm gonna have to mix this one with these two. I also like to use this to spot conceal before I go in with this foundation because this one is like sheer medium. So I like to use this foundation to cover up my acne, and then I'll go over top with this foundation. I also use this to carve my brows. I actually did that today. So yeah, these 3 are the main ones that I'll be using for the rest of the year. For concealer, I'm hoping to use up the Maybelline Age Rewind. You can see I'm almost done. I really like this at first, and as time has gone on, drugstores have been dropping really good concealers out, so I'm really excited to try that. But of course, I want to finish up some product. Even though this was good to me, as soon as you're done, we part ways. I actually have a ton of concealers still. I probably have about 3 or 4, so even after I finish this, even though new ones are always coming out, concealer is just something I'm not super interested in because I have best case scenario under eyes. They're not super dark and they're not super creasy, so even after I finish this, I don't think I'm going to be purchasing any new ones. I'm just going to use up what I already have. And then to set, I don't think this is is a surprise. Coty Airspun. I still have a ton, so let's face it, I'm not gonna finish this in 2019. I finished up 2 entire containers of this. This is one of the cheapest loose setting powders that you'll ever find. There's so much product in this for $5. This one's naturally neutral. I've also tried translucent extra coverage. I think setting powders is the one thing that I don't really venture out much in with my makeup routine. So as much as I love this, after I finish this container, I will no longer be purchasing Coty Airspun. I'm gonna try and buy other setting powders and see how I like them, just because I want to try new things. So for now, I'm still the Coty Airspun lady, but I say give it like maybe another year. 2021 is when I will redact that name. And then alongside with my Coty Airspun, I'm also using the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Setting Powder. You guys know I love to put this where I apply my concealer just because it really brightens everything up. These two are roughly the same price, but this one has way less product. It's still a good product. I just don't like that it changes my foundation. All right, for bronzer, I only have one. I've been using this one a ton. This is the Morphe mini bronzer in the shade Debutante. You can see even though I use it a ton, there's not even a dent to it. Looking at it straight on, I don't even see like a little divot. I'm using it right now. I love the color. I love the way it blends. I believe it's only $6 or $7, and then you could use an affiliate code to get it even cheaper. But if you are my skin tone, you're looking for an inexpensive bronzer, consider getting this one. I wouldn't compare it to the Hoola bronzer. This one's a little warmer than that. I love both, but they're just different. For blush, I have 2 products. So the first one is the BALM Alternative Rock. Okay, I feel hair on my lip, and then when I go to look at it, I see nothing. And then as soon as I look up, I feel hair again. Show yourself. So the first one is the BALM Alternative Rock Blush in the shade Bare Minium. I got this in my Ipsy bag. I'm using it today. It's just a nice shade. It's not that deep. I just really like the color. I think it's pretty flattering no matter what my eye look is. And then if I'm not feeling this, because this is a matte blush, I'm also only going to use the Peak Cosmetics blush palette. You guys know I got this from Duval.com. I love this shade. This one is my favorite shade out of all of them, I think. But what's nice is there are different finishes to it. So these 2 are mattes, these 2 are satins. You know, with many palettes, there's always a couple that you're not super interested in, so I don't think I'll ever reach for these 2. They're too bright. I can't think of a situation where I would really need that type of shade for a blush, but who knows. So I'll mostly be using this blush, and then if I'm not feeling it for that day, I will dip into this blush palette. All right, so for highlight, I actually only have one highlight that I want to use, and it is the e.l.f. highlighter in, I believe this is called Blush Gems. I had a pretty bad first impression of this one. I thought it was cheap. I mean, it still feels cheap. Over time, I used it more, and I realized that it gave me that perfect glow that I really like, because you guys know I don't like a blinding, beaming highlight. I like something subtle, radiant, luminous, very lit from within, and I feel like this highlighter gives me that. I love the shade. It's perfect on me. I'm wearing it on top of another highlighter today, so that's why it may be brighter than normal. I love the undertone of this one, and it's super inexpensive. Okay, so for eyeshadow palettes, this was a very hard one to think about. But like I said, just because I want to focus on these items doesn't mean that I won't also use other ones. Otherwise, things would just get really boring. But the main ones I want to focus on are the following. So the first one is the Beauty Bay EYN Brights palette. Believe it or not, I've only used this once. I mean, technically, I used it 3 times because I did 3 looks with one palette with this one. But after that video, I never picked this up again. I know part of it is because I was just getting so much more makeup, so I was always like on to the next. So this guy kind of got buried under the new makeup, but I wanted to take this time to come back to it. So all I can say is every single time I do a colorful look or I have a pop of color in my eye looks, it's gonna be from this guy. But as you guys know, colorful looks is not my jam on a day-to-day basis. So the 2 palettes that I'm mostly gonna be using off camera, but probably on camera as well, are first the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. You guys, it's no secret, I love this palette. This was the first high-end eyeshadow palette that I ever got. I remember I was in Florida, I was on vacation in my hotel room on my laptop, and this palette dropped at Sephora, and I went back and forth adding it to my cart, and I just never pulled the trigger. I ended up finally doing it, and by the time I came home from my vacation, this was already waiting for me at my doorstep, and the rest is history. This is one of my favorite palettes up to date. I use this any chance I get. The quality is amazing. I feel like it's really hard for me to mess up my eye look when I use this palette. I feel like I have to keep saying good things about this palette to justify the fact that I spent $65 on it. I think this might be the single most expensive makeup product that I've ever purchased. I might be wrong, but I can't think of anything right now. The one issue with this palette is you'll always have a little bit of like a dusty rose or purple mauve type of undertone with your eye look just because of the color story. day. So there may be a day where I'm just not feeling that. So just in case, I also want to utilize the BH Cosmetics Ultimate Neutrals palette. When was the last time you saw me use this? It's been a hot minute. I think reviewing this palette was either the first or second video I ever created on this channel. And to this day, I still love this palette. I do not get to use it very often just because I have so many palettes, but rest assured, I still love it. The reality is, after I got this palette, it kind of replaced this one just because I really fell in love with having a natural look, but with a pink undertone versus like brown, orange, red. So I feel like these are a nice way to incorporate like old school ivory, new school ivory. It's gonna be a good time. All right, so these are the only 3 palettes that I really want to focus on. I feel like with all 3 palettes, I pretty much cover my bases. I got my neutrals, I got more neutrals, I guess. You guys know with me, there's no such thing as too many neutrals. And if you have that type of mentality, you can just go away because we don't need that type of negativity on this channel. And then if I want to do a colorful look or get a pop of color, this has enough colors to pretty much cover all my bases. All right, moving on to mascara. I want to use up the Colossal mascara. This isn't waterproof or anything. I am using it today. I like this mascara. It's pretty good on my lower lashes, but I have noticed that there's a limit to it. On average, I put about 2 layers of mascara on my lower lashes, like 2 on both upper and lower lashes. If I'm going out, I do tend to have like tarantula legs on my lower lashes just because I want them to be a little bit more dramatic if I'm going to a party or something. And I've noticed that if I add 3 or 4 coats, then they start to smear under my lower lash line. So the more I add, the more they smear. So I think 2 is my limit with this mascara. I'm trying to use up as many Maybelline products because I'm hoping next year will be the last year that I have non-cruelty free makeup products on my channel. That's assuming I still have my channel. I realize that as my channel grows that I do have a voice. It may be small, but I have a voice and my opinions do impact others. From the beginning until now, my primary focus has really been about making makeup affordable. That is definitely my domain. I love drugstore makeup. I really don't think a lot of products at Sephora are worth the money or worth the hype, especially since there are so many good alternatives at the drugstore. But because drugstore makeup is so cheap, a lot of brands make their makeup in China. And in China, it is required that they do animal testing. As I improve this channel, I realized that I don't really want to support brands that condone that. So as much as I love, you know, Maybelline and L'Oreal, until they make changes, I'm just going to use up the products that I have from them. But moving forward, I will not be purchasing products from them. Okay, spiel over. Let's move on. All right, so for lips, I don't think anybody ever really finishes a lip product. If you have, congrats to you, but that is a rarity in this house. However, I do use the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit Liquid Lipstick very often. This one's in the shade Give Me Mocha. I can see it separating. I can't really see how much I have left, but I've been using this very often for over a year. So who knows, this might be the first lip product that I actually finish. And then lastly, a setting spray. I would say I'm like 40% done with this one. This is the Mario Badescu Rose Water. I really like the smell of this one. The mist isn't the greatest. I think if you've tried the Morphe setting spray, anything that doesn't have that spray is kind of like, I actually recently finished that one, so this one is the replacement. But so far, I really like the way this melts all my makeup together. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. So that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, don't forget to like this video and feel free to comment down below what other types of videos you'd like to see from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.